Now we're going to have a conversation on a self-improvement segment. Now, this conversation is very important. It's about self-therapy. How do we take care of ourselves thoroughly, through and through? I'm sure Bernie's not going to be talking about massages and all of those things, but we'll get into that, okay? Just a quick reminder that my GHPay, Ghana's biggest online payments and collections platform, is back with a bang. And my GHPay is telling us that they've revamped the whole app, so you can go over to Play Store, Apple Store, and download my GHPay. My GHPay, buy, sell, and connect. Now, let's talk self-therapy. Benny Osedua, who is a consultant, HR consultant, as well as customer experience, is here with us. It's going to help us to get into this. All right, so, Bernie, massages, foot rubs, and all that, that's self-therapy. What else do we need to know about self-therapy?
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me. A very great good morning to your cherished viewers and to my family. My wife is watching.
Okay.
So, Nana,
Nice.
hi.
Hello.
All right. So, well, you said right, but I think the concept of self-therapy goes beyond foot rubs and massages and, tissue oils and so on and so forth. The concept, today there's a lot of self-everything, self-service being employed by service givers. There's self-medication where people are trying to medicate or find cure for themselves, when they are sick, and as bad as that could be, yes, there's a lot of self-everything today. The whole concept of self-therapy is having, in a broad sense, having the mind to find treatment by yourself and for yourself when it comes to emotional and psychological needs. So when you find that there are some challenges emotionally and also psychologically as to how you behave and do things, the concept of self-therapy then emanates from there. So finding, or should I say, employing some treatments by yourself without engaging a specialist or a therapist that helps you through that process. So the whole advent of therapeutic, treatments today that are being applied, a concept of it is what we term as self-therapy.
Okay.
And in there, we can talk about what we call self-counseling,
Okay.
and also talk about self-help therapy. So self-counseling is being able to analyze your own behaviors and try to understand what these behaviors are, what challenges it brings, and then you start talking yourself through a couple of different things that you reckon would help you out of some of those things.
Okay.
So there's a concept of self-counseling and also self-help therapy.
Okay.
So of course, this is where wellness comes to play.
Will come into play as
And when we talk about wellness, you're talking about now your physical, mental, emotional element of it. So this is the whole concept. And yes, of course, once in a while, the physical bit of it, where massages and the rest of them plays a major role.
Okay, so what would be the first steps that one would need to take to get into self-therapy?
Okay. The truth about it is, if you intend to apply, self-therapy, it is ideal for you to understand that you can find it, you can do it, and you can actually be successful. You can progress to find help. Unfortunately, it's ideal to also mention that you can't give what you don't have.
Okay.
You can only teach within your reach. So it must be something that you have knowledge of. It must be something you understand that helps you to be able to apply it effectively.
Okay.
So when it comes to doing anything self, first and foremost, there must be the knowledge and the skill set to be able to apply that. It does not come magically.
Okay.
It must be a thoughtful, thorough, process that you understand what is entailed and how you can apply it.
Okay.
And the first thing I always say, or I recommend, is that start thinking about what you would like to achieve. So set the goals. All right. Is it that you're trying to stop a habit? Are there some behavior patterns you see? Maybe, for example, one of the common things I used to find myself do, especially when I got back to Ghana about 5 years ago, I had a cultural shock and I was literally reacting to everything I find driving around.
Okay.
Because it was a bit off
Yeah.
for me, So
Yeah.
I saw myself really talking out, reacting. And one day I sat there and said, no, this is not it.
Yeah.
Yours might not be on the street, but you trigger, immediately something happens. Your reactions are usually very aggressive
Yeah.
and vulgar, if you like. And when you find some of these things, you need to set goals for yourself. What do I intend to achieve? What do I want to get out of my system? And this is where the conversation starts. So any self-therapy must first begin with, I would say first identify and accept. All right. You must be able to acknowledge that, you know what, I have this challenge. I have this emotional challenge. I have these behavioral problems. I have these, psychological issues. And when you do that, set down the goals that you seek to achieve, then the next steps follow from there.
Wow, interesting. So once you're done setting your goals,
Yep.
what comes?
All right.
Yes.
So the next thing I will say is study your feelings. If you need to be able to be very exact with the application of the process, study how your feelings work. Find your triggers. What triggers you?
Okay.
Understand
Okay.
these concepts of you. There are things that people will get away with, or it happens to people and they're okay.
Yeah.
But when it comes to
you,
you
you
have a
react.
reaction to
Yeah.
it. So something might work for someone but not work for you. It's ideal that you understand your emotions and what triggers, what trigger points you have. What are the things people say to you that gets to you? There are people, when you talk about their mothers, trust me, it's a disaster.
A sore point.
Exactly. There are some people when you talk about their children. There are some people when you talk about their personality, their weight, and so on and so forth. So find what is it that triggers those negative emotions. Someone will be okay, and in the minute they snap, just because something was said to them or someone let them see something they are not supposed to see. Quite recently, I heard a story of a guy who worked in one of the famous brands, in America. And someone decided to show something to him on the phone, and there was a male porn on it. It triggered.
Okay.
And immediately he got vulgar and violent.
Okay.
It became an HR issue.
Wow.
So you need to study your emotions to find out what are the things, and really have those analytical elements of understanding what emotions affect you, what words affect you. And this will help you when you discover to be able to start educating people about it. Now, these things happens a lot in marriages. Your partner knows what buttons to press to get you, triggered. Whether, romantically or, emotionally aggressive, they know some things to say that gets you there. And sometimes it doesn't take 1 minute, a split second, and you reach the finish line. And when you understand this, it's ideal that you educate the people around you to understand, you know what, this don't work with me. And I will plead with you that don't bring it up.
Don't try.
I know people, immediately you say, can we talk?
Yeah.
It's a trigger.
Yeah.
They immediately get into a defensive mode.
Yeah.
If you're not careful, because psychologically.
No, but everybody, so for example, I find it interesting that this is actually one of your examples, because for me, the more I tell everybody that is close to me, if you want to talk about something,
Talk about it.
Start talking.
That's right.
Don't introduce it by saying we need to talk. No, get into it.
That's it.
Right? Don't set it up, because if you set it up, you're going to bring issues.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
But why is that though?
I think sometimes, and usually our women are very good at that. Usually they want to set the scene, the platform to get a conversation in. But what they don't understand is that guys don't like it. And I've spoken with so many people by nature of my work. Anytime a woman tells a guy that, can we talk? When you're back home, I want us to talk. It's like a woman whom the husband decided, I want us to talk about your shopping and how much you're spending after you finish mobbing. Then she went for a face brush to do the mobbing of the whole house. It's not happening. So that guy will never come home, because, okay, so what did I do now? What's happening? And you put the person into a frenzy. If you're not careful, all sorts of reactions will come out of it.
It's like being called as a little boy to the principal's office.
Oh,
it's a problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if it's a good thing waiting for you,
Yeah, it could be a
that
very
whole
good thing.
mind, it's
Yeah.
it's painful.
Yeah.
And those are the things where it's an ideal that we educate our partners. When you discover, and for me, I think it's a beginning point where you discover what it is, what triggers you, what are the things that get you the quicker, educate your partners or the people you relate to about it, whether at work, in your marriage, in your relationships, wherever, educate people. And I always say that, you see, sometimes people think that we can read their minds or
Yeah,
you are
unfortunately.
supposed to know. There's
Yeah.
nothing like you're supposed to know. And anytime you assume, it makes a out of you
Yeah,
and me. Yeah, I don't have
No, so I'm going to ask you a question though. We can experience negative emotions.
Yep.
How do we prevent the negative reactions that come from the emotions that we experience? How do we get ourselves to that place where the guy crossed you on the highway, all the negative emotions began to climb up almost into your throat, but don't say what you are going to say?
I call this identify and exploit associated self-talk.
Okay.
It's ideal to have a lot of self-talk with yourself. One day I was in a room, I never got a chance to meet Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
But before he passed on, I had opportunity to be in a room where he sat and spoke.
Okay.
And one of the things I remembered he said was, you can postpone your anger.
Oh, wow.
See, when he got out of prison and became a
wow.
president, a lot of people were expecting
Yeah, a reaction.
a reaction.
Yeah.
And it was going to be a boom, So people were triggered. A lot of whites were, traveling
to
out of
run
the
out
country,
of
trying to run
country
out
because you
of,
don't know what's gonna
and
happen.
then he said, you can postpone your anger. Yes, you're angry. Yes, you intend to do something about it, but you can decide when that happens
Okay.
and how
Okay.
that happens.
Okay.
And it was one of the things that stuck with me for a long time.
This is like my favorite saying for the rest of the year.
Oh.
You can postpone your anger.
And it's ideal for the element of self-talk. And talking about self-talk, I want to bring in a bit of emotional intelligence into the conversation.
Okay.
Because you see, you need to be able to have that mind, that emotional intelligence to say that, you know what, I'm going to let it ride. I will let it pass. Sometimes think beyond the consequence. Okay, so when I get out, I saw street violence in South Africa, real. One
Yeah.
morning driving from Pretoria to Johannesburg when I used to work with MTN Group SA.
Okay.
And one guy crossed another guy, and they started insulting, swearing at each other. This guy got out of his car, took a stone and hit the other guy's car. This other guy didn't come with a stone, but came with a gun.
A gun. Wow.
Like joke.
Wow.
He, bow,
That's
done.
it. On the
He was
spot.
on just kicking the leg. And that was where I saw someone shot for the first time
My goodness.
in my life. And so, all these street violence. And in South Africa, the taxis and the trotros,
Yes.
they all have guns and sticks and knives, on them. And here, people get away with a lot of,
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
So because of some of those things I saw, it also helped
Yeah.
my mindset to walk away from violence. So have a lot of self-talk. What are you going to do? What could be the consequences, the repercussions of it? Do you know who you are approaching? Yes, the person might be talking back and you're talking, but do you know what they've got?
Yeah.
Do you know what weapons they have on themselves?
Yeah.
And when you do those self-talk,
Yeah.
it helps you
You
to be
to
able
manage
to
yours,
manage, your reactions a bit.
Yeah. I found situations where people escalate. So in anticipation of somebody having certain weapons on them, they will now pack more to say that in case they have, I'll come with heavier.
Oh my word.
That's not a solution. Though.
Let me tell you a quick story. So once again, I lived in South Africa for a while. So this lady, we were from church on a Sunday. Then I didn't used to drive. So we're walking back from the Lighthouse Church back to our flats.
Okay.
And this lady was having a fight with his gentleman in the middle of the street. So we're about 4 guys. So we decided to walk and go separate them. So we held the guy because he was more aggressive. And one person took the lady to the side. As we were talking, the lady got herself off
Free,
and
yeah.
came to hit the guy big time. So like, Masa, yeah, pattern to kwano.
Yeah.
Why would you go
Why
in?
would you get it?
And then she said, it's more blessed to give than to receive. Someone's interpretation of scripture.
Wow.
So whether it's goodies or slap, it's more blessed to give than to receive. So you better not be at the receiving end of the slap. So, you know, this is the mind a lot of
Yeah.
people have.
Yeah.
They feel, you know what, if you're coming with a weapon, let me pack up.
Yeah.
You know, so let me hit you hard first
Yes.
before you have a chance to hit me. And these mindsets of being very defensive to make sure that they walk away being the winners are some of the reasons why people will do that. But it's not always in the case. I always say that even the police are trained that
Yeah.
never fire until you see that a gun is, you know, pointing your
Pointing at you,
direction.
yeah.
Of course, we don't want to talk about the stories
Yeah.
of yeah, you know, so you know, these things are very challenging. When you find yourself in that space, you must understand that you need help. You know, and you know, the whole therapy, counseling, seeing someone to be able to help you becomes a key thing. However, when you're able to train yourself and develop that emotional intelligence, you can obviously be able to apply some of these processes for yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's wrap it up. Let's
All
bring
right.
it home.
So maybe aside of the element of having, you know, positive self-talk, one of the things I want to quickly add is challenge yourself with that dialogue.
Okay.
So, for example, your boss gives you a job. You know, it's a very challenging job. It's not anything you're very used to, but you're expected to deliver. And it's easy for you to say that they want to get me out of here. They're giving me jobs I can't do. And then suddenly your emotional, psychological turn begins to set in.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you can also have that dialogue and say, you know what? Maybe they want to open and expand, stretch my potential. Let me take the challenge.
Yeah.
And having that dialogue works a lot. So the positive talk you have with yourself matters a lot. You're talking about self-therapy. So everything must be self.
Yeah.
And I mentioned in the beginning that if you don't have that inner strength, the inner tenacity, the knowledge to be able to accommodate these processes, you will not be able to implement them.
Yeah.
Finally, let me add this, that one of the very key things to be able to succeed is to replace irrational thoughts and belief with the positive ones. So learn to say good things about yourself.
Yeah.
I just recently watched a documentary. They talked about Cristiano Ronaldo
Okay.
from his days at Manchester United all the way through to Real Madrid and Juventus. And Rio Ferdinand was mentioning something about how he always would walk by a dressing mirror and then he would speak to himself. You know, he just gonna say, damn, Charlie, I look fine.
Yeah.
I'm the finest guy here, and I'm going out there to do something good. It's ideal how you also perceive yourself.
Yeah.
And it matters a lot how you see yourself. Sometimes people will see you otherwise, but what you see in yourself matters the most. If the whole world is for you, but you are against yourself, you will fall. But if the whole world is against you and you are for yourself, you will stand. It doesn't matter what fight it brings to you. Just in conclusion, let me say this. Just yesterday, we were having a chat with my wife. And we're talking about Samini and Stone Boy. How today the young, they were talking about Efia and what's the name of this young lady who is blowing up? Jackie. You know, and they were comparing, and someone was saying that these are generational. It's different times, different age, completely.
Yeah.
So there is no need for you to do
the
that
comparison,
comparison.
yeah.
And then I spoke about Two-Face when we were young.
Yeah.
Two-Face blew
Yeah. Big time.
globally,
Big time.
you know, for African music.
Yeah.
Today we're hearing of Wizkid and the rest of them. But when Two-Face was Two-Face, who was Wizkid?
Yeah.
You understand? So then I made a statement that everyone has their season. Yours is here, someone else's will come.
Yeah.
What's the name? This American comedian. He's all over the place. Family Feud. What's his name?
Steve Harvey?
Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey blew after 40 years.
Yeah.
You know, other people come into the limelight at a certain age. Obama was a president in his early 40s. Someone else stepped in his 60s and 70s.
yeah.
So it's ideal for you to understand that when your time is here, you will get in. And Erama, the one who did, you know, some of these local, you know, highlight songs,
Yes.
blew in her old age.
Yes,
You know,
yeah.
today, Jackie is just about her early 20s,
Yeah.
and she's all over the place. And these are some of the things you must understand. So have that confidence that your time will come, and when it does, go in and give it all.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll be speaking with Bernie Osedua, who is a customer experience and HR coach, performance coach. And he's been helping us to understand self-therapy and the fact that everybody has a season, everybody has a time, and your time is coming.